a little bit counterintuitive, but children and babies are very different than us. If you get really, really tired, you're sleep deprived for whatever reason, your kids kept you up all night, or you went out, for dinner and you went to bed really late, you're probably really excited about getting into bed and getting enough sleep. If you're offered the opportunity to take a nap as a mom, you're probably going to jump on the opportunity. But babies and children are very, very different. So less sleep begets less sleep for them. So the old saying of, put your baby to bed later and he'll sleep in the morning is completely untrue. In fact, it will probably have the opposite effect, where they will wake up at like 4 or 5 in the morning. So let's take a look together on this next screen of what that cycle of overtiredness actually looks like. So if you can see this, the cycle of overtiredness usually starts because of something that initiates the overtiredness. So maybe the wake window is too long, or you ran some errands and didn't get to a nap early enough, you had dinner late, baby wasn't feeling well, the bedtime routine didn't go well. For whatever reason, your baby did not go to sleep early enough or fast enough, and your baby now has a little bit of overtiredness accumulated. Instead of falling asleep like a log, like you would expect someone to when they're overtired, the opposite will happen, where they will fight bedtime. They will fight bedtime and delay bedtime and stretch out their overtiredness even more. So let's say your goal is to get them in bed by 7, but now they fight bedtime until 8:30 or 9 p.m. So by the time that they actually do go to sleep, they're even more overtired. This will lead them to have superficial sleep. So if you remember from tip 2, there's different types of sleep. There's light sleep and deep sleep, and both are important. But what can happen here is, if they're really overtired, they will stay in light sleep. They will stay in superficial night sleep, which means that sleep is going to be less restful, and they are more likely to wake up during light sleep, right? As a result of that, they will wake up in the morning even more overtired. Okay, so you can see the overtiredness is getting progressively worse over time, and that can lead them to then fight naps, right? And refuse to go down for naps, or have very, very short naps, and that in itself will cause them again to get even more overtired. So what happens is we end up in this nasty, nasty cycle of overtiredness that is very difficult to get out of. And so what I see happening in situations like this is parents will, initiate new routines. They will study wake windows. They will do everything right to get their children, on the proper schedule. But because that child is stuck in a cycle of overtiredness, no matter how great the routine, no matter how great the schedule, it doesn't seem to help. And the reason is, the more overtired they are, the more they fight sleep. And so what we teach is that you have to throw a wrench in the system. You have to throw a wrench within the cycle to sort of temporarily beat that overtiredness, in order to get them back on a decent cycle in itself. One thing to know is sleep pressures, okay? So as you go about your day, your body releases something called adenosine. Adenosine is a byproduct of basically being awake and your body functioning. Adenosine is what makes you feel tired, right? And if you have just the right amount of adenosine, you're able to, fall asleep and lull yourself to sleep. But when you have too much, especially in children, can kind of cause the opposite effect, where they get very jittery, very excited, and it makes bedtime even more difficult. Now, a good example of adenosine is caffeine actually binds to receptors on cells of adenosine. So what caffeine does is it will temporarily block the impact of adenosine, making you feel a little bit less tired.